Good morning, everyone. Give me a second here. All right. Good morning, everyone. Oh, why is that talking? Oh, I see. All right. So yesterday, after choppy session ended lower, kind of come up a little bit. There was a lot of running in place. But we looked at what began as a little double top there yesterday up in that area where it was above the open. And we talked about as it came down, the buy setups that failed and down it went. So now, is there going to be any follow through? Well, we got some economic numbers coming out, I think tomorrow, the next day. So I think the market's going to kind of run in place here. But the gap down did hold, gapping down below the prior day's low. It didn't retrace back up. One of the comments yesterday was, look, if it can turn into a bottoming tail bar. And we saw that happen on a lot of markets because this was down and it was at the high of the day, just a little before noontime or after noontime or so, and then started to deteriorate and came back down again. So, you can't hang your hat on a daily bar in the middle of the day, making thoughts, or assumptions that it's going to stay that way, especially in a downtrend where prices have reached resistance. So, in addition, in the room yesterday, we talked about using the NYSE tick as a gauge as to the strength or the lack thereof intraday and the AD line. And overall, even though the markets did rally and prices had moved up, as you can see, as they had, none of that was suggesting that there was any real power behind the move. And then, of course, prices have to follow through. If this kept getting stronger and stronger, those numbers would have changed. But all we know is what's happening in the moment. And at the moment, we knew that there was the possibility for this to roll back over. It didn't roll over that bad. Actually, it held that bar. And now, it was down earlier, 383.50 here. Where was it? Yeah, it gapped down and it's recovered. So, buyers showing up in this area of support. Let me just look on the hourly chart there. Yeah, I mean, look where it came down to, right where this pivot is. And now it's rallied up into this area here. So it's going to be a minor gap. And I was in the middle of doing something else. That's why I said to wait. Okay. All right. Okay. So running in place, choppy price action going on here. If we do get some downside action, I would say the extent of it, as far as it might get, I would say down here would be the most that it could go down. You got multiple pivot lows down here. So we've got that reference point. And we'll go to SPX. We're going to get there, Jacob. And let me see what you got written down. Is there premium at 65? Because it didn't look like there was much down there. I wrote 37.75 or 70, but we're close. And 39.05, I have that exactly. All right, so futures, you see the dip down overnight. It's going back up again. And so now that the 5-minute is trending up, just continue to mark prior pivot lows as major support. And when it gets up here, should it somewhere up here, let's just drag our little red barrier down here because that's what we're going to want to know intraday, right, as our reference point. I don't know why it's not. Okay, so what you'll see is, see how it comes down here? And so what I do there is I put that on the hourly time frame where that resistance is at. And I see this minor level, but and it could stop there. You could easily just drag it into a wider spot, give or take. But anyway, so while I'm not looking at this during intraday, I have a chart over on the side there, but as this, should it continue to advance, I know on this, which is my primary intraday time frame, as it comes up into here, is where it's likely to stall. And then utilizing gauges like the tick and the VIX and so on, you start putting together, hey, this is a pretty good area where things could top back out. And then ultimately you follow the trend and say, well, does it violate the trend on this time frame? So step by step. All right, so SPX, we've got the numbers. So 37.75 would be the highest, and which is way down here. So it's a pretty good distance to travel. It's got to get through here. It's got to get through 3,800 and a bit lower. It's not a no-brainer, but you can see the pivot here, and then down here. But there's no premium down at 37.43. As market environments change, there are times where, I remember months ago, we would look like down here and it's like, oh, these are just no brainers. It's just never going to go down there. So environments change, things get tighter, and institutions, look for strikes a little closer to where things are at. So that's the way it goes. So let me just take another peek over there for the 37.65, 40 cents by 55. And we used to do that a lot many, many months ago, where you had to get far enough away. 37.75 is 75 by 85, which of course is more attractive, but you got to get closer to it, to 75. So is that safe? Well, it's relatively safe, right? But I think if SPX, S&P 500 got down here, and so let's just look at this and say, well, look, 37.65, and you can see I'm trying to line up the cursor there on the hourly chart, right? Is down there near those pivots. So the thinking is, if you were to do this strike and it gets down there, and if you haven't killed it and you're just kind of, holding your breath, like it's going to bounce, right? Whatever. And if it was to travel from here down to here directly, it most likely would bounce when it got there. So then these things move so fast that if it got down here and it's like, here, you're ready to, bite your tongue off because it's down through your strike, and this bounced up to 3,800, those premiums would just get crushed, and you could be okay. So, that's the kind of thinking. You got to have a stomach for this, because these things really move and the premiums pop, and they can, as fast as they can pop up, they can just evaporate just as fast. So, but anyway, be careful. Be careful if you're gonna mess with these. But so where I was going with that, I think if it was to come to 75, I don't think anything would stop it from getting to 60. But it's a little extra cushion. Well, that's personal choice. You see there's lots of bottoming tails down there. So if it was to get anywhere close to that level today, because it would have to travel so far, buyers would show up again. All right, let's look at other markets. Qs were negative, now they're positive. Top 39.05, had the same as Jacob. Now, all right, so let's go back since this is coming up. All right, it's still below its open. And where's the top of that bar? All right, 3,900. That doesn't mean it's the top of this bar. So that bar's close. It's got to get pretty far to get up there. That, and considering it's down here, I'm thinking, like, is that bar even feasible? to happen within this pattern. And while you might be thinking anything is feasible to happen, it would be unusual based on historical patterns for this to, again, let's go look at the spiders for a second. All right. Open down there and go all the way up there. It would be odd. I guess it would be odd anyway. Look, we don't have no-brainer setups here for SPX as we did not too long ago. It was just like, it ain't going there. No way in hell is it going there. Now on the Qs, and we usually don't look at the QQQ because they don't have that kind of premium. But if they had premium and we could do a call spread, up here, I think that would be a no-brainer, or a put spread down here. So there's probably not going to be premium for a put spread in the Qs. But look at that. Sell naked. Yeah, sell naked. It's only for a day. Sell them naked down here if there's premium. QQQ. Let's see what's down there. I don't know if TC2000 is going to fill in at this time of the day. I don't have time to go look in IB. I don't know why they zero them out. Anyway, that's a thought, and even since it's going up, 300, we'll take a look. All right. YM, just kind of running in place there. Rolling over a bit, So, well, I think it was in the green room yesterday. Somebody asked about a pattern and a comment about winding the spring. And so when I'm looking at what's happening here, that's the thought that I have. Now, I'm not about trend lines and connecting dots, but it is a way of showing winding the spring. And what winding the spring really means is that the forces between supply and demand are reaching an equilibrium. And that's what's happening here. So as this rolled over, and this bar is just beginning, but as this is making a lower high and this is making a higher low, it's winding the spring. And so now, which way is it going to break? Well, I would say odds are down because the trend is down. But, as this has been chopping around here and it's in the top of this wide range bar, I wouldn't totally discount the possibility that it could pop up here. I'm not sure how far it would go, but this is a pretty good example of winding the spring. And so, take that thought, into the next couple of days. Similarly here. Now, I'm always looking at things, horizontally. And, where's my other green thing? Anyway, so looking like this, that's the support down there. It's about trading ranges. Right? We'll make that one green. And so the thought is when you're getting a trading range like that, okay, it's topping out here, wide range bar down, should go down to the bottom of the trading range and maybe below. Well, what if it holds here today? Or down here, dips down a little bit and it starts to hold. And it's, as we get more bars, we start to see, hey, you know what, this is kind of holding here and kind of like the spring is getting wound. Now, is it or not? I'm not so sure yet, meaning, it's the beginning of the day. If at the end of the day, this is down here, it's just a trading range. It got rejected here. Buyers stepped up there. And I would, at that point, I'd be saying, well, they couldn't take it up when they had the shot. Its odds are it's going to go down. Right. So now Bitcoin, right, that peaked its head above this pivot high. and it got knocked back down again. So, that's a similar situation. Last week kind of saved the day or for the markets in that, it was there down there at 18,000, and it, looked like, okay, here it comes. Markets are going to crater, and it survived. It looked like it was going to head down here on the weekly time frame into that void, and it still might. So this is something to keep an eye on as to whether this actually, does it hold here? Does it make a higher low? So, as we look at different markets, whether you think they're interrelated or not, we see a lot of trading back and forth and overlapping bars, which communicates to us that we're in a period of uncertainty, and which makes things difficult. And why, look, I wrote that a couple of weeks ago, that chart of the week. What's working in these markets now? Credit spreads. So it'll change. I mean, there's always going to be credit spreads, but right now it's like they're just proliferating. All right, oil, a big mess. And after this move lower, and when you have a big mess, and this is because I've got a continuous contract that's going all the way back here, but when you have a big mess, you go to a higher time frame, and we can see this trading range. And so as it comes down there, I think the assumption is that buyers will show up as they did here. They didn't get very far. And this is, so when you start seeing this kind of price action, where you have lots of overlapping bars and tails like this and range expansions, trouble is coming. Look here on the weekly chart. When you see that the bars are relatively equal in size and they open it and close around the same areas and continue to move up, that's a picture of certainty, and buyers are in control. When it starts doing this is like, okay, something's going on here. And is it a top? Maybe. Is it just a period of consolidation before going higher? We don't know. Right? We don't know. It could be a top, but we don't know yet. Wide whippy consolidation. Maybe it resolves itself to the upside. So, and silver down again. There's no hope with that dollar continuing to move up. Got a little pivot down there. If you're interested in that, set an alert. Stephen, you mentioned before, but this is a major lesson. When you see the dollar in an uptrend like this, I mean, the correlation isn't always so exact, but when you see the dollar like this and short-term interest rates being forced higher, metals are not going to do well. That's a very powerful intermarket relationship not to ignore. And, the euro yesterday mentioned about it coming down here to parity, and that broke down. So we keep an eye on all of this. And right now, it looks like probably a lot more chop until that news hits. So to you, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, I think CPI tomorrow. The media just puts in everybody's head what to focus on. And then PPI Friday, I think. Yeah, oil, that's, getting whacked there. All right, so our opens are fine. I don't have any alarms going off. Let's go right to this interest list. Bottoming pattern here. This looks very interesting. Top in here, bottoming pattern. Today could be our gap something bar. I put that in the middle right there. NOW call spread. You know, kind of an M top resistance, big gap down under all this 470. Let's try to short a above 500 call spread. A B hat here, rocking here, maybe 30-minute high. So yeah, Greg, when Greg was talking about that spring, we'll be talking about that concept tomorrow with trading classical patterns and MT Live, because a lot of them flags, pennants, etc. They're either consolidation or the triangles or that spring loaded concept. But this is bullish. Some, you know, type of pennant, whatever, consolidation in the upper half. So we'll come back to you. Indo, another bottoming pattern ripping here. That if this can hold right about here, then it's a buy setup pre-market. I'm going to put that in another window. Indo. BBVY down a little bit, sell setup. 30-minute low short or call spread. Piton, they're getting rid of in-house manufacturing. And, you know, I don't know what that means, but as of right now, the stock market likes it. But it's just going to be an inside bar. Nothing really going on there. It's damaged goods. Starbucks was on the news saying they had to close a bunch of stores for safety reasons. I guess they're in cities where people are not playing nice. Amazon, it's Prime Day today and tomorrow. The news is making fun of them, calling it inventory liquidation day. But we trade people in charts. So people are probably programmed, oh, Prime Day, they're going to make a ton of money. Let's buy Amazon. And it did gap down, but clawing back. Along with the Qs, we're down. We're the only positive ones here pre-market. So it's kind of a small inverse head and shoulders with this downside shakeout, but still no pattern on the daily. GME in the news, doing something with their, I don't know, crypto NFTs or whatever. Put spread watch. Expedia, I read in the journal today an article, and I didn't know this, but they talked about Google Travel. I never knew of such a thing, but they said Google Travel's been putting a hurting also on Expedia and Booking. So I pulled them up, and this is a breakdown. So we can short yesterday's low plus yesterday's low short a call spread over 97. So that looks good. Booking is too spready. You know, you never know how much of that weakness is with the entire sector versus Google beating up on them. Jets, RCL, look at this descending triangle. That's ugly. There's an article in today's paper, also in the journal, about super deals on cruise ships. Yeah, they're trying to get revenue. Histo here broke out yesterday, gapping up again, but wow, 484. So now the gap's too big. Goev, a lot of these little penny stocks. All right, so this is a failed sell setup. This was a sell setup at the 20 and a downtrend with a potent reversal. That actually was a short under yesterday's low. Wow, it's gapping way the heck up here though. hypothetically, if it were just gapping over yesterday's high, like right here, 275, whatever, then that would have been a 5-minute high. Target this resistance. Greg, news on what?
That stock that's making that monster gap.
Oh, of course. I'm in 99.9%. I didn't look it up, but yeah.
Is it a bio?
No. Rangan says Walmart.
Walmart is buying their trucks, Reagan said.
All right. Kohu. This is a, I don't know what made me look at it. I forget, but sell setup here. Sell setup on entry yesterday's low. COF and AXP, Morgan downgraded them both. They both look lower. Remember, earnings season's kicking off this week with banks. This thing, I forget what the news was, but that looks horrible. That looks like it's going to zero. 78 cents, gapping down. Poor GPS, they fired the CEO. And look at that downtrend. $37 to $8. Wow. Pepsi had earnings, but no pattern. Ango, I think it had earnings, no pattern. AMCR, no pattern. Semi's showing a little strength here. My up alarm went off. We have a call spread on that. And NVIDIA and AMAT we put on yesterday, all sell setups. We'll just let them settle down here. All right, this GLSI here, middle chart I see pop, but that's a nice gap from a base, converging 20 and 50. I'm obviously not doing anything here at 9:30. Yeah, David, the midpoint right. David, you're not going to believe this. I had it loaded on my other computer. I already sent an alert. I already sent an order out, David, at $3. You know, more than